Hey folks, welcome to another episode of Ascend the Mountain. I'm Aaron.
And I'm Steve, and we're two normal dudes just helping people in their walk with the Father. And it's still
1,000 degrees outside.
Oh my gosh. And we have wildfires going on right now. And
my boys come out the other night and they're like, Daddy, what's wrong with the sun? Because it's like orange,
blood
end
red.
of the world looking,
and
whatever.
There's one morning we came outside and it smelled like a campfire.
Yeah, and so where we live, this last Friday, I was going up in the mountains hiking, and usually I crest one of the hills on the drive on the highway, and then you can see the whole front range, and I couldn't even see the foothills. I was like, what is going on here? Because of the smoke.
Seems like it's the morning it's bad,
yeah.
And it clears up during the day, but even right now, if you look out, it's just, it doesn't look good.
Yeah.
It doesn't smell good out here.
No.
So we're going to be inside until it's just too hot.
Whichever.
I'm so sick of sweating right now. So that's my story.
And you're sticking to it.
That's what I'm going to do. So on to real news. Thank you for hanging with us. But I'm going to share, I'm going to get a little honest. I'm not the most perfect husband or father. I know that's probably a shock to a lot of you. Some of you guys probably look up to me and go, man, I wish I was like Steve.
You don't want to be like that.
Kind of an idiot. But I work with people. That's my job. I just work with people, and I spend a lot of time with people and invest in people and mentor people. And one of the things is...
Before you even get there, can I just say, isn't it interesting sometimes where, and you're about to allude to this, I think, you can be really good at something in your quote-unquote professional life and not apply those exact same principles in your personal life sometimes. Have you found that to be true?
Yes.
I found it to be true in my own life.
Because one of the things is I said it yesterday with my wife. I did premarital counseling, and I joked about it going, man. She's like, how'd it go? I was like, well, I'm a lot better at giving advice than sometimes taking myself.
So I'm sure we're not alone in that. I'm sure you guys deal with that.
Actually, I'm sure you guys are perfect, and you guys should probably be doing this, and we should be listening to you.
Yeah.
But one of the things, this isn't recently, this is a while ago, but things have been implied. I remember her sitting down, and she's like, I wish you loved me or invested in me the way you do other people. Mm. And I put a lot of time and energy into my job, and then when I come home, I got nothing. I have a friend that's a mechanic, and one of his things is he obviously works on cars.
Likes it.
But does not like to work on his own cars. And you find that in a lot of professions. You're a counselor, you're a business, you're finance. You just don't want to do it when you get home. You just did it for 8 to 10 hours. I don't want to do it. And it's the same with me. I feel like I invest so much and pour so much energy into people that I tend to get home and go, I'm done. And I become a hermit and kind of just like get on robotic man mode. And it's something that called me out, and I definitely have done better. There's times she goes, hey, remember? And I try my best, but it's still an effort, and it's so weird. And my dad has the same thing. My dad and I have had, I love him. My mother died when I was 3, and he was part of teen pregnancy. So he had to work really hard to raise me. And he worked 80 to 100 hours a week. He's still in his 60s and still a workaholic. And him and I had a conversation a couple weeks ago, a very healthy conversation, how I kind of picked up that habit. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things he said. I wish I invested, like he did best as he could. So I'm not going to bash him on that. He tried as hard as he could, but one of the things that we shared about is like, I picked up some of those habits. Yeah. And being able to invest into what's important, sometimes I feel we can miss what is important, what's investing. And that's something that you kind of shared me a story with Peter playing Frisbee. And
well, and with your personality, and I think my personality is that we're very, and probably a lot of you guys, like, we're very passionate about the things that we do. And so we invest in our effort, our time, our energy, into those careers, not only just put food on the table, but we feel like if we're going to do it, we want to do it to the best of our ability. And for me, on top of being, a pastor and doing that type of stuff, we're doing this podcast on the side, and then I run my other YouTube channel on the side. And so it's very easy for me to basically be working all the time. I can easily just work nonstop. and maybe pop downstairs for a little bit, or do something with the family for an hour, and then hop right back to work because I don't have a set like clock in, clock out schedule in my life. And it's interesting. I was actually listening to a Joe Rogan podcast where he was interviewing
Joe Rogan.
Yeah, top dog there, and he was talking to Kevin Hart, and it was a really good conversation. Just about being present with your kids and making memories with your kids, and it really reminded me about how often do I, particularly this phrase I use with my son Peter a lot, who's 4 years old now, is later. And I do what he wants to do, but I always seem to never when he wants to. It's always on my schedule, not his schedule. He'll be like, Daddy, can we go outside and ride on my bike? And maybe I just got home from work. I'm like, buddy, let's do it after dinner, and we do it after dinner, but it's never when he wants it. And so I realize I'm creating a culture with my son, and eventually my sons, if I don't stop this, of Dad never wants to do it when I want to do something.
It's always on his time.
Yep. And so I didn't, and literally I get home from listening to this podcast. I was driving back from a hike, and
well, tell him. I mean, it wasn't just like a 10 minutes drive.
No, it was like an hour and a half drive back. I'm listening to this, and it was confirming things I already knew were like God was bringing up in my heart. So it was just confirming it, and I'm hearing it from a very secular perspective, but it's something that's very true, And so I get out of the car after having driven an hour and a half, hiked for 6 hours, 8 miles round trip, gotten back in the car, drive an hour and a half back home. I'm kind of wiped. I kind of want to relax on the couch now. And my son's like, Daddy, can we play Frisbee? And it's like 100 degrees outside. It's like 3 PM. And so I was like, well, here we go. Here's the time to practice what I literally just got out of hearing.
And this is where I feel like God he's funny. He's a funny man.
Yeah.
And I think he sits in heaven going, get the popcorn. I want to see what he does.
Right.
Like he teaches us stuff, and then he's sitting there going, let's see what you learn. Sometimes the test is 10 minutes later.
Right.
Or in your case, the drive home.
Right.
And it's kind of crazy going, God's just going, let's just see.
Because
it's easy to pump ourselves up. I'm going to change. I'm going to do this. And then go, when the time comes, will Aaron say later, or will you just go,
Yeah. So I hopped out and I was like, okay, buddy, let's do it. And we played for like 30 minutes. It was fantastic. It was great. I could tell that he was having an awesome time. And he's even like, I've been out in the sun all day. He hasn't. He's like, Daddy, I don't want to be out in the sun. So he's using that shade from the house to keep himself cool. And I'm in the middle of the cul-de-sac on top of the black tarmac at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon when it's freaking hot. But I'm like,
smile on his face and the middle fingers are going, what is happening?
Right. But it was so good, and I was so thankful that I did it, and it just sets a precedent for myself of this is something I need to create. This is something I need to do with my kids, and I'm sure in many areas of my life that I need to practice what I preach. Basically, I mean that's what comes to my mind.
It's tough because it's not just that one time.
Sure.
It's easy to get yourself motivated because like it's easy to joke like I go, okay, honey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to say no and no and no and yes to this. But you've already built habits and patterns. Mm-hmm. And one of the things is, I was thinking of it, I've been reading a book called Atomic Habits. Ooh, not Christian at all. But it's a lot of good Christian principles. And he says something in there like, I actually have it written down.
You have it written down?
But it's really good once I get to it.
So while you're doing that, I'll just tell you the Frisbee that I used was a floppy Frisbee. I think it's called like the squish disc or something like that. So it's like a floppy polymer, not rigid. And so that, just so you know, if you want to like play Frisbee, it's great for like hiking and backpacking too. We took it on our backpacking trip recently because it's very packable, malleable. But it's easy for kids to catch too. It's not like that rigid, like thunk off their hand or whatever, and it doesn't roll around.
Head.
Yeah, the head, and it doesn't roll, so that's nice. So if it you miss it, it just goes, and there it is, and then you pick it up. So anyway,
it could be on a future review.
Boom.
But it says this. It goes, "We do not change by snapping our fingers and deciding to become someone entirely new. We change bit by bit, day by day, habit by habit."
That's good.
And the thing is like when we think about, man, I want to change. I want to be more invested. I want to put more time into what's important in my life. And COVID's kind of done that to some of us. Mm-hmm. But some of us are still stuck in habits and still into the mode of, oh, I'll change tomorrow. I'll do this, and tomorrow never comes. And it's important. Like he said yes once, but Peter's going to ask him again.
100%.
My wife, my goal is ultimately that she does not say that again.
Right,
in the last 20 years we've been married, she has said it 3 times. And then so I'm sitting there going, oh, so in 6 years, we're going to be back here. My goal is by the time we go through this again, that she doesn't say it, that she can finally say, I'm important. I know, like, it's the same with you. I think we talk about it off camera.
Yeah.
But your wife has even said that on that.
Right. Yeah. She said to me, this was like a year ago. She said, now, how long have you guys been married?
21 years.
And we've been married for 9 next month. And so she said to me probably a year ago, she goes, I feel like I'm sometimes on the errand train. Like it's your time schedule. It's what you want to do. It's where we're going. And she goes, I get it. I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like I don't have as much of a schedule as you do, but it just feels like I'm on your schedule and your train, and wherever your train goes is where I have to go. And I was like, whoa, I don't want that. I don't want you to feel that way. That's not what I intended. But it's the byproduct of the consequences of some of it. Again, goes back to even the job thing. Like I'm just always like going and da-da-da. Some of that is, it's not like I have to. Some of it's I want to do it that way. You know?
He is a go-getter.
So.
There's no, because you put a lot of hours into Gideon's Tactical. You put a lot of hours into your job. You put a lot of hours, and even you put a lot of time into your family. And there's, like, I see you. I watched it firsthand what you do, but I know it's also like, are we giving even our families and our friends and what's important, like the spare change?
Yeah.
Kind of like this.
The left.
Here you go.
Yeah.
This is what we have left. And my challenge is to you, like, there's something that God is put in your heart going, man, I need to change this in my life. And it's really asking yourself this question is, what is the cost?
Yeah.
And like, I know if I keep doing this, I can lose my marriage.
Right.
My kids, I have a senior, it's going to graduate and eventually leave out of the house. I have another one, you got a little bit of time, but eventually my wife and I even shared this going, it's going to be us.
Too again.
It's just going to be us again. And if I'm just going to just delve back into work and be busy,
Right.
what's the point? Why should she stay?
Right.
And it's just a challenge for some of us, like, at what cost? Like even with my dad in the conversation we had, I was like, yeah, I wish you were around more.
Right.
I know we had to survive. I get the good stuff, but it hurt our relationship growing up because I was like, you just invested so much into your work, and it's not here nor there. Like, we survived. He got us where we are. It's not. I'm not mad, but we've had a good conversation. It's where something goes. Something he regretted.
Right.
He said, I wish I was more. Like, he went to my football. He was involved, but he wasn't like. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like he has a game, but that's it, and then like not around the rest of the
It felt like,
stuff.
are you invested that much? And it's
Right.
just, it's tough, and it's habits I picked up and not good habits. And I'm not saying I'm not there for my family, because
Totally.
I have a day where it's just I put to my family, and I just want to encourage you guys, at what cost are you sacrificing something that's just not very. At the end,
Yeah, there's always going to be a cost to what you're doing. Now, sometimes that's fine and that's worth the cost.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not, though. I mean, what's the verse? I don't know the
you
address.
gain the whole world, but you can lose your soul.
Yeah,
Is that one?
but you lose your soul. And it's like okay, so you may be like, well, yeah, that's talking about spiritual things. But that can be about other things too. Maybe you're so addicted to being like at the forefront of events, projects at work. You got to be on every single committee. You got to be, have your hands in 3 different volunteering projects and all that stuff. And you're kind of frustrated that your maybe dating life and or one day getting married is like not happening. You're like, yeah, I just can't get any dates. I can't do whatever, da-da-da. Okay, well, you're super overcommitting yourself in every area. That is the cost of doing that. Or maybe it has to do again with your family or your kids, or maybe it is on the job side. Maybe like you love your fun time so much that you don't have any money to ever invest, and now you're 50 and you're like, I need to retire in like 10, 15 years and I have no money, but I have an awesome kayak that's $3,000, and I have a $5,000 bike, and I have a Jeep that can crawl over anything, and that costs $80,000 to make. And it's like, well, that's great, but what was the cost of having all that fun?
And it's whatever you find important.
Right.
I mean, if you find that super important, I'm not.
Yeah, not saying it's wrong.
But the
We're
thing
saying,
is when it's all said and done, when you're getting ready to take that final breath, what are you going to wish you invested your time into? Is it sitting 15 hours a day at your job?
Yeah.
Was it just, like, even for my family and I, one of the things we've done in the last decade is we are taking family vacations. They're costly, family of four, flying and doing all that. We go to nice places, but I also sit there going, but our house is kind of suffering because we need a new bathroom, we need this, and we're like, but we spent it all here, but we've made the decision as a family, we'd much rather have memories and good times and spend together than invest it into our house. We have another friend of ours that their biggest thing is they invest so much in their house and they always go, we wish we could go on vacations. And it's learning, it's for yourself. You sit down with your spouse or even yourself or whatever, wherever you're at in life, going, okay, what is important? What do I want to have at the end of my day going, man, is this...
And then to be okay with it. I guess part of it is to don't expect a different outcome based off of the results that you're doing, or the acts that you're doing. It's like that couple that you just raised, who like they probably have a way nicer looking house than yours does inside or something. Like their bathroom has a really nice, way better mirror.
Everything's upgraded.
Right.
Ours is patchwork.
They when their vacation comes, they just have to stay at home and go to the park, and that's their vacation because they have no money because they remodeled the bathroom.
And that's a good conversation that we've had with them, going, they wish they had more. We sometimes go, man, I would love to have that new bathroom again, but we're sitting there going, but would I take away that 10-day trip we just took to Mexico?
Right.
With excursions and going, and my wife and I have decided, but it's anything, but our ultimate goal, like even with family and friends, you have to decide and be okay. Like, if you feel like, I would say it's a bad move, I'm going to invest more work into than my family. It's something you've got to live with, but we encourage you to really take a look at your life and what is important. At what cost are you sacrificing important things?
Right.
And that's something that, I don't know, it was a reality check when my wife said it.
Yeah. It's a really good reality check, for that. And if you realize that there are some things in life that you're like, I don't care as much about, then that's okay to shift gears. Maybe you realize that you're like, whatever. I do a bunch of vacations. We made some great memories, but man, the house is falling apart now. And you know what? I visit my bathroom every day. I don't visit this, place except for 10 days a year on this vacation, or this maybe what's it called when you have a timeshare, or whatever. And it's like, maybe it's better at this season to switch and go, you know what, now we're not going to do vacations for a couple of years and really upgrade the house. But you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, but I think that's important. And what we're saying is, what we don't want at the end of the day, man, are you investing in stuff that's important, especially long-standing? Like, for us, it's even relationships. When we go hike, we camped as a family and stuff, it's investing into relationships. It's like, that's our thing, and that's my wife meant. We got to invest into our children, and I want to make sure my kids at the end of the day going, Dad dropped the ball in some areas, but he was present.
Right.
He was there, and I think that's one thing. Even my wife said, I just need you present. I need you around. You say yes to a lot of people.
Say yes to me.
Can you say yes to me? And I think that's something. What are you saying yes to? It's no matter how you want to form the question. It's so.
And everything has a cost.
Everything has a cost. Yeah. You just you may see it later.
Right. Actually, let me add, this just popped in my head about this. This is another example. So my dad, retired now, worked for a large company. He was good at his job.
Not gonna lie, his dad's one of the coolest people you've ever met in your life.
Pretty cool guy. And when I was in high school, I asked him, because he had friends who were the exact same age as him. They were in the same field that he was. They worked at the same company, and they were like bosses and managers, and they had a lot more money. They had bigger houses than we did. They had better cars than we did, kind of thing. And I asked him one day, I was probably like 14. I'm like, Dad, why aren't you a manager like these three friends of yours that you work with? You still have friendships, but they're higher than you in the business, in the company now. And he goes, it is not worth it to me to work at the level that they have to work at. He goes, son, I work about 40 hours a week and then I go home. They are on call on weekends. They have to work 60 to 80 hours a week every week. Yes, they have a bigger house. Yes, they have a better car. Yes, they can go to Hawaii for vacation every year. You know, they have six people in their family. But I would rather be able to come home and be with you guys and be here every weekend and go do stuff with the family and be present than to have twice as much money as I do and not be present.
My respect for him.
And so that's why he wasn't a manager, and he got to a certain level that he was happy with, and he was offered promotions all the time, and he would turn them down constantly.
But there's a cost.
Right, because he knew the cost.
It's the same thing. I know this is a little longer. We did as parents, young kids. My wife and I said, we can both work and have a lot of stuff, or do we want to raise one of us kind of always be around?
Yeah.
I think we had a babysitter on Mondays because that's when we couldn't do it.
Yeah.
But one of us, we worked our schedule around. Even my wife at it first years would even go part time. We didn't have as much, but we made that choice going.
Right.
We want to raise the kids, not a babysitter.
Yeah.
Not saying that.
That's
It's your choice. It's something we came together as a couple, and I think this is an important conversation that I feel like a lot of people aren't having, and not really recognizing that what are you sacrificing and all that. And I love your dad's story. Going, man, he could have made a lot of money, but at what cost? Because you and your father, I watch it. You guys have he has a really great relationship with all four of you.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that would have happened.
Right, probably not.
Or you guys could have been in counseling and
Right.
pissed off at your dad. And where were you?
Right.
So
Nice, I got a car when I was 16, but
it's cool at 16.
Didn't have a dad.
But now you're in your 30s going,
Right.
I wish I had that relationship.
Right.
That's something that's life-giving and lasting. So that's good.
Sweet. Cool. We love you guys. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. Share the video, like it. We really appreciate when you do that. You can hear us on Spotify and
Apple, Amazon, and Audible soon.
Sweet.
So,
Man,
exciting.
Awesome. So, till next time, guys. Peace.
So.